Awesome. So welcome today. We are going to proceed with from where we stopped yesterday. We introduced or we continued on pivot tables rather last time, that's yesterday. And today we're just going to continue on that. We finished pivot tables, then we looked at the various charts of visualization in Excel, and we're able to touch or see just one type of visual. So in here, let me just share the screen quickly. Right, so I'm sharing the screen from yesterday. Maureen, I'll make you a co-host so that if anyone joins, you can just admit them. Right, so here we have, I think we were able to just create this chart yesterday, and there are tons of other charts that we can actually explore, right, in Excel. After extracting your data, after extracting insights from your data, the next thing you want to do is present them in such a way that it is very, or easily relatable to anyone that is actually viewing it. So I will just do one more example here with what is it called, on the charts, before we just dive straight into doing some kind of projects. On the project part, we're going to start off with data cleaning. We're just going to go quickly into data cleaning. We'll use all of those principles we have talked about before now, those data cleaning principles we mentioned earlier. We'll just see how we can prepare our data for analysis, all right? And then we can start off with the actual project that we have for today, which is to build an Excel dashboard, okay? So here, I'm just going to show one more visual. Yesterday, I told us this is just an ordinary, chart. That is a normal chart, normal Excel chart, because you built it from a normal table, which is we extracted this from a pivot table result. So let's assume that in here, we decide to use this instead, right, to build our chart. That is using the pivot table to build our chart. What you're going to have in turn at the end of the day is not just going to be a chart, but it's going to be a pivot chart, right? So I'm just going to click on pivot chart. You will see similarities to what you already have with the normal chart, but the only difference is in the dynamism of this chart. So here we selected um, I think we had done, let's say, okay. So on the pivot chart, you're going to see a better way, not a better way per se, because at the end of the day, you still be able to achieve the same thing regardless of the charts you're using, whether it's a pivot chart or a regular chart. Right? But just know that the difference is the source table of that particular chart. That is what gives it the major difference. So in here, if I build this chart, say, okay, let me just use the clustered column chart, right? So here we have various countries, and in here, I want to try to replicate the same chart that we had here yesterday. All right. Cool. So we had this from yesterday, but let me just put them side by side. Awesome. So it is feeding from the second chart here that we just added. It's feeding from a pivot table, right? So I'm just going to go ahead to make a few adjustments. I will make a few adjustments to this chart. So I'll go to design. Under design, you will see select data. You will see switch row and column. I will use this opportunity to just tell us what they mean. Click on switch row and column. What was on the row becomes the column, and vice versa. What was on the column becomes the row. So in case I want to visualize my data in this way, I'm able to do that. So I can see for each country based on product category. But my interest is to replicate what is here, which is on the total revenue by country across all of the products. So I'll just switch it back here. Then I come back to right. So right in here, you can modify what you want to see. All right. So in here, everything is being selected here as it stands. Da, 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 da. So for a pivot chart, since it is based on a pivot table, we don't have so much flexibility to change the data source. It is going to work based on that particular table. So for whatever kind of, so we build the pivot based on the kind of chart we want to see. So if I want to replicate this chart, it means I'm only just going to have these columns here. So let me show you what I mean. So I come back here. This is our pivot table. Here is my control, right? The field list, and say I take off product category. Now there's no more product category. Then you have something similar to what you had from yesterday. All right. Again, the same things and all that. In here, you can have all of these filters. Remember before now I said on the pivot chart, on the pivot table, again, I'm inside the pivot table, you will see it here on the menu bar as pivot table analyze. If I am inside the pivot chart, you will see it as pivot chart analyze. So just take note of how those things change. For all of these buttons that we see here, some of revenue, here, the filters, it adds all of these filters here based on this table that we have, the pivot table that we are looking at here, right? So if I don't want them to display on my chart, I'll just go ahead and uncheck those buttons, and those buttons will just be out. At the end of the day, this chart now looks like what we already had from yesterday. So you can go ahead and add all of the data labels, right? Yesterday we added data labels, we formatted the labels to a summarized version like we see here, all right? So please, again, just the difference between both of them is the source of the table that is actually feeding the chart, all right? That is actually feeding the chart. So most of the times, when we build our, what is it called? When we build our dashboard, we're going to be making more use of what's it called, of the pivot chart instead. Like I said, not much difference between the two. You can achieve similar things with the two. At the end of the day, it's just about the source that is feeding that particular chart. So right, I saw something I wanted to do earlier. Okay, here, cool. So let's just create one or two more charts before we proceed with the conversation. So these are in percentages. All right. Okay. Maybe Michelle, I'm too fast, yeah. I'm actually still giving a recap. I've not even started. Um, I've not started out with anything, but I'll slow down. All right. And then you can unmute your mic at any point and just talk to me. You understand? If you have questions, you want me to come over or go over a concept again, please just feel free, let me know. All right. Awesome. So far, can I proceed? Can I proceed, please?
Yes, you can proceed.
Okay, awesome. So again, let's just use this sample case here. Let's use this sample case here. I'm selecting this. I want to use, thank you, Maureen, for sharing that chart cheat sheet yesterday on the group chat. So please keep that handy. It gives you an idea on how to use what kind of charts to display what kind of data, and all that. So here, these are percentages. These are ratios. All right. These are ratios in here. I want to Okay, let me do this instead. Since we did it by row yesterday. By row means that for US, the total sales for US, and then we broke it down into the various product categories, right? That is why I want to use this other format. I'll switch later to column percentages or column ratios, then you see what I mean. But for now, let's follow my top train. So in here, I select this top two, right? That's what I want to visualize. I want to see the, you know, I want to see the, I want to see the ratio, the proportion of sales in the United States. So I go to insert, right? And then I come down, you see pie charts here, or you go to recommended charts. At the end of the day, you will still find them. So here you have a number of pie charts. There's donut chart, there's 3D pie chart, there's 2D pie chart. You can have other forms of pie charts, which is, the pie of pie, which is used mostly for expressing smaller units that cannot be seen generally from the holistic view. When you have a proportion of, say, one is 2 million, this one is 10 million, and one is 1,000. The one that is 1,000, if you put it on a chart, on the pie chart, will almost be invisible, right? So you can use that to just extract those information and just feel free to explore all these other chart. But this is what we want to do here, right? So in here, we can see the proportion, and then you see the key here, what is known as the legend, telling you the colors and their representation. Accessories is blue, the orange color is bikes, and the clothing is green. So on the pie here, we're able to see how they have been spread in terms of their proportion. This is for the United States. So just like we established yesterday, that our bikes sell more. Bikes are the things that sell more in the United States than the other categories of products. All right. So we want to focus on selling more bikes in the United States, since we have more patronage of bikes in the United States. So here again, just like before, you can go to your chart tools, right, or your chart element, and you can add the labels, right? By default, the labels are, of course, the values that is populating this particular chart. So it just brings them here by default, it's displayed here. So let's say we want to center it, or the other options of where you want it to be positioned. All right, but let's leave it at the center. I think that's fine there. Then we want to change the color. I just clicked on one of the labels, data labels. In there, you go to home. Same way you change font colors for your text, you can also do the same here. I think a brighter color will be more appropriate here. I can also increase the font size. I can make it bold, just to make it a bit more visible. All these colors here are by default. We can change the colors to what we want, right? Remember from yesterday we said, if you come down to your charts designs, when you select the chart, you will see multiple options on how to format this particular chart. All right, you can try to be as artistic as you can, but there's no point being over artistic. Just have something that is appealing to the eyes, or that is not very offensive to the eyes to just look at. And at the end of the day, you're able to pass your message across. That's the most important thing, that you're able to communicate or tell a story with your visualization. You're not just putting it there for fancy, because it's fanciful and all that. You're trying to communicate a story. You're trying to tell your stakeholders that these bikes sell more. So in here, again, there are other things we could do. Legend, of course, I can take off the legend if I don't want the legend to be there, but I'm fine with it there. If I come down to more options like we did yesterday, I can check this series name, right? So on the series name, it adds to the label, it adds the particular series name, right? So of course here, it's not very necessary in this example, but just know that we can do, we can actually do that. Or category name. Category name will also give you the actual category name here of, of our data. Here we're dealing with accessories, bikes, and clothing. So let's say, for instance, I don't want this, I don't want the legend to be displayed here. I want them to, be displayed in here, right? You can actually use this method to reformat your charts, build them in any ways that, you want at the end of the day. Okay. So the only way to learn or to understand it better is when we actually implement a project with it. So without taking further time, let's just dive into the actual working of our project. So we'll start with the data cleaning project, then we'll proceed to the dashboard building project. If you check your folder, if you check your Bootcamp folder, there is a file, there is an Excel file there called data cleaning exercise, right? Let me withdraw the title. Let me withdraw the title again. Yeah, data cleaning Excel tutorial. Please load up that file. Please load up that file. Data cleaning Excel tutorial. And if you don't have the file or you can't find the file, please let us know so we can reshare the file. Please load up that file. This is the file that I'm referring to. By show of hands, how many of us have created an account with Kaggle on Kaggle? On Kaggle.com, how many have created an account there? Show of hands. Maureen, who else? Bemisola, who else? Hadassah, Emily. Okay, cool. Awesome. If you haven't, please do so because we're going to be using that shortly. Have we loaded the file? Show of hands as well. Give me a thumbs up if you have loaded this file.
Please, I think you have to help us send the folder. I'm not sure I received any.
Okay, that's fine. Let me drop it here. Okay. I am going to drop the file right here on this call. I would also drop it on the WhatsApp group. Data cleaning Excel tutorial. Okay, 1 second. No, I just dropped the file here. I just dropped the file here. I'm also going to do the same on the WhatsApp group. Okay, we have the files now. Do we have the files now, please? No one is talking.
Yes, I downloaded it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've opened it.
Okay. All right, give me one moment while we wait for others to. do same. To do that, please let me know so that we can either wait for you or let us know if we can proceed. Proceed. Okay, I think I have a yes from everybody. Let me refresh my screen. Right. So in there, you're going to find two sheets. Remember, remember your Excel workbook. You have an Excel workbook and you can have multiple sheets. I mean, we've talked about this. So you find two sheets there. One of them, the first one is a cleaned data. That is where we want to be. All right. The second one is the dirty one. That is what we want to clean. Okay. So I want you all to be on the second file. But that is on the second sheet. Be on the second sheet and let's clean. So this is the second sheet here. All right. Now, this most of the times, real job scenarios, this is how you're going to meet your data. You may even meet them in worse conditions than this one, where it is so messy, looking so tattered. I mean, a lot of junks in there that you don't necessarily need for your analysis and all that. We're going to go to kaggle.com very soon. But before we do that, I told us yesterday that for every data set you download, there's a data description. All right, there's a data description for it. And that data description gives you an idea of what that data set contains. And when you know what that data set contains, you're able to um, you're able to creatively think around what kind of insights you can generate from that data. The data we're looking at is the data that contains past US presidents, from the first US president to the current US president, right? US president, as at Joe Biden, right? That is what the file you're looking at. So you will see several attributes. By attributes, I mean columns, several columns that speaks to each and every one of those candidates that are represented here. All right. So the first thing you do, somebody remind me, and anybody who is able to remind me um, will have a special place in my heart. What is the first thing you do before you start, or when you start your data cleaning process? What
So,
is the first thing?
yeah, you told us to first create a copy.
Create a copy. Bemisola has a very special place in my heart going forward. Thank you very much, Bemisola.
Yeah.
Um, and I know most of us also remember. So the first thing you do is to create a copy so that you can have your raw file and then your working file. Don't ever make the mistake of working directly on your raw file. So that for whatever reason you need to make reference to your raw data, you can always get back to it. So that's what we're going to do. And then here, you can just simply right click on the tab name here, on the sheet name here in Excel, right? Look at the sheet title, just right click there, and then you will see move or copy. So you click on that. I'm saying move to the end. I select move to the end, and then check this box down here that says create a copy. All right, and then I click OK. And then I click OK. So this gives us a copy of our original file, a copy of our original file. Then I can go ahead and, edit it to anything. Maybe I can call it copy. I can call it working sheet, right? Whatever you want to call it, you can go ahead and call it that. This we know is our raw file. All right. So you can right click there and you'll see rename, or you just double click on the title there and you rename it accordingly. Right? First thing you do, ensure you keep a copy of your original document or of your raw file. The next thing you do, what is the next thing in data cleaning process? What's the next thing? Somebody else now that is not giving solar. What's the next thing? What's the next step in data cleaning? Who wants to take the next spot in my heart?
Inspection.
Inspection. What does that mean? Can you talk to us about that?
Like going through the data, checking the headings to know, like knowing what you're going to work on, even though there's
Right,
a description or
right,
removal of duplicates.
right. So you call it data inspection or data exploration, right? But before you do that, there's another step, and you just mentioned that step, which is duplicate removal, right? Duplicate removal. So we need to check for duplicates, see if we have duplicates, and then deal with it. Now, duplicates can give you wrong information in your data. Duplicates can give you wrong information in your data. So you want to be sure that you don't have duplicates in your data when you're working. So how do we clean duplicates in Excel? Now, I'll say two things before I show you. One is if your data contains a unique identifier. So say I give you a record of US citizens, right? A record of US citizens. Now that record of US citizens um, contains what is known as social security number of each citizen. Now that social security number is a unique identifier. It means no two persons have the same um, social security number. So with your social security number, you are able to appropriately identify an individual in the database or in your table, even if other details about them are the same. You can have several people on earth that have the same first, second, and third names, right? You can have them have the same birthdays and birth years. You can have them have the same career projection. And they will be in two extremes of the world, right? You can have those kinds of similarities. But once you have a unique identifier, you know that that is a differentiating factor. So in your table, if your table has a unique identifier, it means that column must not have a repetition. That is, it must not have two similar, no, two numbers or two values that are the same. Not possible because it is a unique identifier. So in that way, if you identify them, then you're able to tell that, okay, this must be a duplicate. Simple and short. All right. So you can clean duplicates based on that unique identifier, and it will go ahead and remove every duplicated rows in your data set. Second thing I'm saying is, in this case here, what we are looking at, we don't have a unique identifier per se, because all we have are the rankings or the positions of those presidents, right? Which is corresponding to the serial number column here. That's column B in this case. So we may not be using a unique identifier as our criteria to clean. We'll be using all of the columns. That is, everywhere we see an entry that is the same value all through the columns, the same all through the rows, rather, the same value all through the rows, then we can be sure that is a duplicate that we don't want. So this is what I'm going to show you. If I highlight this column B here, all right, let me check if only on this column, if there are duplicate entries. You see under styles here, ensure that you're on the home tab on your menu bar. Under styles, there is something called conditional formatting. There's something called conditional formatting. Now, conditional formatting here, what we want to do is on the first one, I mean, there's a whole lesson now we can tackle, but I'll just take focus on what our data cleaning process, what we need here right now. If you see the first function here, which is highlight cell rules, cells rules. Now there are several options here which we can fix. All we want to look for is duplicate values. So if I click on that, it brings up a dialog box to ask you, what do you want to do if I find duplicates? Here by default it says light red fill with dark red text. It's going to fill that cell with a light red color and make the text color dark red. You can have other options here as well, or you can just go to custom format and choose your preferred action. That is, color code this stuff if you find duplicates. I'll go ahead and just click OK. Now, if there are duplicates, you're going to find them here. So already it tells us that there are duplicates here. Number 28 and 28, they are repeated in this column. 44 and 44 also repeated in this column, which is most probably a duplicate in our entry. But like I said before now, we are not using a unique identifier here in this case. So we will not use this approach, all right, to highlight. This is just basic exploration or inspection to just check which of your columns have duplicates, and all of that. So I'll just undo this. We don't need that for now. So to clean duplicates in Excel, go to the data menu on your menu bar. Click on data on the menu bar. Click on data on the menu bar. You will find a section called data tools right here where I'm hovering my mouse on. You see data tools. There are a number of actions here that we can carry out. But you see this one in the middle, if I hover on it, you will see the description of it. It says remove duplicates. So I'll click on that. Now, the next thing to take note of is that it automatically assumes that your table has headers, and it takes the first row of your table as headers of your table. All right. So if it takes the first row as the headers, then it checks that by default. It checks that. So what it is doing is this. I am checking for every entry where there are the same values in all through the rows. All right, all through the rows. That is, they are the same things. That way we can say, yeah, this is a duplicate. Help me remove this duplicate. Otherwise, if you want to use what we did earlier, where I said just use a unique identifier, I can come here and say on select all, and then maybe my unique identifier is serial number. So it will only check based on that column, serial number, and check for what is the same. Once it finds two same or more same values, it is going to delete the excess ones and just leave only one. All the repetitions, it will delete all the repetitions and leave you with just one. But that's not what we want to do in this case. We want to leave it on select all, and then we'll just click OK. Now here, what you would find here is that it says one duplicate found and removed. 46 unique values remain. All right. And then gives you further information. If there are more duplicate values that are found and removed, you would also be notified. Same here. And then I just say, okay. Now, once I do this, I know that my data is now without duplicate. All right. My data is now without duplicate. Somebody will say, but there is this guy here, it's 28, 28, and if you look all through, it seems that everything is the same. So why is he not considering it as what is it called? As a duplicate to remove. Sometimes and in certain cases, you will find yourself doing a little bit of manual interventions, all right, manual interventions here, here and there, all right. For some reason, I would expect that it would have caught this guy, at a duplicate and remove one of the value in here. But unfortunately, it didn't. So when you still do that, still carry out certain inspections, like we did earlier, highlight the duplicate values in that column so it gives you an idea, all right, of what to take out. So when you check again, when you highlight and then you find another, then you can easily take out the duplicates yourself eventually. So what I'm going to do is I'll just go ahead and take off this duplicate because I can see that in here it is the same thing all through. All right. There's no difference between the two rows. Maybe there is a difference in character that we may not see, right? Maybe a space somewhere or something that we may not be able to catch, which is the reason why it didn't see it as a duplicate. So I can just go ahead and manually take out one of it. I only selected that row, right click, and I said delete. Now my data is without duplicates. Now I can start preparing it for analysis. Any questions so far? Just hold up. Just hold up. I know it's taking them, bit by bit, but hold up. We're going to work with this by yourself. So just follow my thought train so that you don't miss out on what I am saying. Okay? Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Okay, I assume I can proceed. Now, even if you don't have questions, when I ask, please just let me know. Right?
What Tosin said you should go back on it again if you can do it again.
Right. Okay, sure. So let's undo, 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 undo. Okay, cool. So this was where we were before. And I said to remove duplicates in Excel, on the menu bar, go to data, the data menu on the menu bar, select that. Then under data tools, you see this one here in the middle with an X is for removing duplicates. So you click on it, all right? And by default, it selects all your headers by default. It selects that. It takes your first row as your table headers. By default, it selects all the headers. It says my table has headers. If your table does not have headers, you can check this box. So it will treat the first row not as a table header, but as a row entry on the table itself. But that's not what our case is. This is our own case. And I said we can remove duplicates based on a certain column, maybe just one or maybe two. Once there are repetitions on these columns, we take them or we conclusively say that they are duplicates. Go ahead and remove the repetition and leave one copy of it. All right. But in our case, we said we're going to leave it at select all and just click OK. It goes ahead to give you um, this information about how many duplicates were found and removed and how many unique values remain. All right, how many unique values remain. Now it says note that count may include empty cells, spaces, etc. So spaces and all of those ones, they also contribute to making a cell or a row different from each other, right? And then we'll just say, okay. I said the next thing is, from our initial inspection, you would expect these two to be considered as duplicates. So that we'll remove one and leave the other. But for some reason here, that didn't happen. So you can always double check with a manual intervention to always check for duplicate entries in your data. So I said we can just, in this case, just go ahead and delete it. All right, and it's gone. We delete it and it's gone. And we're back to where we were. Is that better?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I want to ask a question.
Sure.
Yes, sir. When you were talking about this manual intervention, is it
Yeah.
possible? Let's assume after doing what you did, like you saw another one and you did a manual intervention. Let's assume it's more than that. Is it possible?
Right, of course. So that's why I said the conditional formatting we did earlier here. And then we said on the home tab, conditional formatting, highlight cell rows, duplicate values, right? And what will happen is it will highlight every cell that it considers as duplicates. Every cell with the same value, it highlights them as duplicates. What you now do next is we can add a filter. I'll show you how to add a filter shortly. Then we can filter by color. Let me show you what I mean. So conditional formatting, right? So this is our duplicate. So I can come in here and say, okay, because you can have millions of rows of data that you're working with and all that. So this is what you're doing here. You say select by color. Here, what this does is it will bring up all the duplicates that it has highlighted to your view here. So you can see them from the top. All right. So if I use that first method and it didn't work for me, I can go ahead and select duplicates or remove duplicate based on the serial number column, and it will automatically take them off. This one is not manual intervention. What this does for you at the beginning is gives you an idea, all right, gives you an idea of the number of duplicates that you have in your table. Now, after you have cleaned it, you can do another conditional formatting to check that it has actually cleaned successfully. That is in the case where you have a unique identifier. Where you have a unique identifier. All right. I'm going to go ahead to do what I did earlier. Let me show you again. So this, that. So I say, okay, you removed one. Then I come back here and I say, okay, let me check to see if there are still duplicates in here. There are duplicate values in here, and I see, oh, there are still duplicate values in here, but I've cleaned for duplicates. So obviously, that did not work completely. All right, it didn't work completely for me in that instance. So I will repeat that process. Data, this, but this time around, instead of selecting all, I'm only going to use this serial number column here. Now, can you see that this time around it said two duplicate values found and removed, 45 unique values remain, and I'll now say okay, right? In this instance, I don't need to do any manual intervention because I am sure right now there are no duplicates anymore in my data. So is that okay? Listen.
It's okay, sir.
All right. So the next thing we want to do is we start we will now decide the unnecessary columns that are contained in our data. It is not all columns, I repeat, it is not all the columns or attributes that your data set contains that are important for your analysis. So you're only going to focus on the columns that are important for your analysis. This is what I mean. For instance, this first column here, it doesn't speak to anything. The first column here doesn't speak to anything. So it is almost useless. Almost useless to me for my analysis. So there's no point having it here. I'll just go ahead. I selected the column, right click, and then I delete. Okay, I delete. Another thing I want to do is I may not also be very trusting of this order, this numerical order. It's supposed to start from 1, 2, up to 45, right? Up to 45. But however, even if it is correct right now, I may not be very sure. So for me to be very sure, I can rewrite this. All right. So in here, I'm selecting the first two. As a matter of fact, Shift Control down arrow key. Let me take off everything. Let me take off everything that is in here. Okay. So I have only number 1 and number 2, so that I can, spread the series or the numbers up to 45. So I just come down here at the base right bottom of my selection. The cursor changes to a black cross, and then I can double click. It automatically populates the numbers all the way down. Now I am sure it starts from 1 and goes all the way down to the end, which is 45. All right, which is 45. Okay, then I can double click on the column width here so that it just fits with the content. So I move to the next column, right? Is this column necessary? Of course, this one contains all the president's name. I move to the next column. That we're deciding the columns that stays and the columns that shouldn't stay for our analysis. The next column, prior. Prior is what position did they occupy before becoming president? All right. Now, is it very necessary right now for my data, my analysis? No, it can be important, all right, later, where you want to have some kind of historical records of these persons, where were they coming from before they became president and all that. It might be important, but right now, it is not considered important in our analysis. So I'm just going to take it out. The political party that this candidate belongs to is also next. Yes, we need that. We need that information. Who was the vice at the time this person was president? We also need that information. That's fine. What is their salary? What is the salary of that person when they were US president? And this is their salary. All right. And then the next thing is date updated and date created, which is speaking to when this data was, curated or was collated. All right, and it's not necessary for our analysis. I'm also going to select both columns and delete them. Now I have all the columns that I'm supposed to work with for my analysis. All right, I'm making these decisions based on first common sense, second, based on the peculiarity of the data set, and then finally based on the specifications from your stakeholders. Your stakeholders want to see this, that is what determines what stays in your data set for your analysis. Okay, I'm going to pause for 2 minutes so that you can catch up with yours. Please, when you're done with yours, just give me a thumbs up. All right. 2 persons are done. I need 1 more person so that we can proceed. Awesome. Awesome. Now we start formatting the columns in the most appropriate way based on the data type that the data contains. All right, based on the data type. Now, I'll start with the last one in no particular order, right? This one contains salaries, and we know that salaries are, of course, numbers. We may want to add these numbers in future, all right? We may want to add these numbers in future. We can easily ensure that they are in the appropriate format. If they are not in the appropriate format, now is a good time to put them in the appropriate format. But as it is, it looks like they are in the appropriate format that they can be. All right, in the appropriate format that they can be, which is currency. Okay, once I select the data itself, look at the data type field here, it's already telling you, okay, it's in currency. All right, so there's nothing more that I can, or there is nothing more to be done right here on this particular column. It is ready for analysis as it is. The next thing we want to do is, let's look at the next column here, which is the vice president column. I can rename that to vice president and then salary, right, with a capital H. So if you observe, Emily, come on the mic. Tell me what you observe from this column, the vice president column. Emily. Is Emily on the call? Okay, Tosin.
I have forgotten the particular name you called it for us, but it's not well arranged. We have it's scattered. There is spacing at the back, and some are at the middle. Some of the names are at the middle. It's not well aligned.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Tosin. Now
Thank you.
it has more like an improper format. There are spaces in between, spaces at the beginning, more spaces at the end, not properly aligned per se. So what we want to do is fix that. There is an Excel formula that I introduced to us the last time. Can anyone remember that formula that would be useful to us here? So I just created a new column so that I can use this new column to treat this existing column. All right. I'm using this new column to treat the existing column here. So can anyone remind us of that formula to clean this particular column and make it, keep it in a proper format?
I think you said stream.
Trim, thank you, trim. So we'll use trim to do that. So we'll just simply say equal to trim, and then we'll just select this text here, and then we'll press enter. Then when I go ahead and replicate this formula all the way down, you would observe that it will have formatted it. So trim removes excess white spaces either at the beginning or at the end or in between texts. All right, or in between text. This is looking a whole lot more better than what we had. Now, once you apply a formula to a column, and you're finished formatting that column, go ahead and copy that column and replace it as values. So you paste it as values so that it can replace the formula that you have used in that sense, in that column. All right. Why? Why? Let's take, for instance, I have used a formula thing based on this column B to produce what we have in column E. Let's say, and then I want to go ahead. Of course, this is a dirty column. I don't need it anymore. And then I click on delete. You find out that I start having what is known as reference error, which means we are referencing a non-existent cell. That is what this error means. So it means that once you're done cleaning a column, please select that column, right click and paste values, paste as values, so that it can replace the formula there. All right, now I'm just going to copy the header here, and then now I can delete this column confidently and allow the clean one to remain. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Please don't forget to call my attention
Sorry, I'm so
if
sorry.
you need
Please,
me
can
to go
you
over the
repeat
concept.
that?
So whenever you finish applying a formula, Emily, you dodged my question the first time. I will come back
No,
to
my
you.
baby woke up, so I had to attend to him. So I missed this the last thing you did when you deleted the column.
Okay, 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 okay. Apologies for that. I think we have, how many mothers do we have in this class? Looks like we have plenty mothers in this class. And that's quite inspiring. That's quite inspiring. Kudos to you, ladies, for taking up this challenge. All right. For those of us without kids or that are still single and all of that, it's even hard. Ah, Tosin, you too. Ah, people are plenty.
The
Okay.
baby is always. I have to go and put him to sleep now.
Okay. I mean, it's quite inspiring to know. And we have several mothers in the house. Kudos to you, ladies. So I'll go over the concepts again, Emily. Um, Let me undo. Okay, cool. But did you get to the point where we use the trim, Emily?
No, I did not.
Okay, so let's get back to that point. Right. So this is what we said. This is the column we are working on, right? And we're trying to clean this column. And what we observe from this column is like this column has, you see the extra white spaces there, it's not properly aligned. You see some spaces in between words here, too many spaces here and there. We want to just align it and fix it. And I will recall that there is a formula called trim that we explored during our introductory sessions. That is the formula we're going to use right here. Okay, so we'll just simply say equal to, and then we'll say trim, right? And then we'll select this cell here and then press enter. Then when I select that same cell, I now replicate the formula all the way. I just double click so that the formula can go all the way to the end of your table, of your data table. Now what you can observe is that all the excess spaces, both at the beginning or at the end or in between, they have all been taken care of by just this formula called trim. All right, by the formula called trim. Now, the next thing I said we should do is once you have applied the formula to a column, please copy the same way as your column is still selected. If it's not selected, select it. Copy and paste as values. So right click and paste values. All right, so that it can replace the formula there with the actual values. So you don't have a column that is depending on another column for its values. Do you understand what I mean? So that if, for instance, we're about to delete this column, it doesn't affect the results that is on this new column. So I said we'll just copy the header here to this. This is the dirty column. This is the clean column. We no longer need this dirty column. We can now go ahead and delete it. Is that better now?
Yes, yes, thank you very much.
Sure, sure. Right. So the next thing we'll do, of course, we'll now move to the next column, which is now the column for party. Right. So I can change that to political party. I can change that to political party. Okay. Now in this case, I will not show you how you can drill down in your data set. So you may have millions of rows. You don't have to be doing them one after the other. But it is most useful for this kind of data here. This kind of data here. It is a categorical data. That is, it's a category. You can bunch a number of things under the same category or under similar categories. All right, if you understand what I mean. So you can have multiple candidates here that are Republicans. You can have multiple candidates here that are Democrats and all of that. So we'll add filter to our column here. So if you go to data on the menu bar, if you go to data on the menu bar and then click on filter, it will provide a filter for each of these column headers here. All right, what the filter does is when I click on the arrow down here, you're able to see the various categories here. In this case, this is not a categorical data, so it will display every entry in here. So if you have millions, it will display them here. So it's a quick way to just quickly search for someone. So right, so let's say we're searching for a certain Paul. We don't know. Now we think, oh, okay, there's no Paul on our table. Oh, what of Peter? Is there anybody like Peter? No, there's nobody like Peter. Is there any Pence? Oh yeah, there's a Mike Pence. Do you understand? It can give you quick access to getting certain information out of your data, just basic data inspection. So in here, what we can see right here is that it is either a candidate is a Democrat or a Republican or a Federalist, right? Or is non-partisan. And there's this final category here that is very unclear, but we would accept it because right now we don't have much information to either disprove it, which is called the Whig, right? Which is most probably a party that exists or that used to exist in America. So, right, so you have all of this, but you will find out that, oh, there are some parts that are, the spellings are off. Look at Republican, and then there are Republicans. So you know that these two belong to the same party, even though the spellings are wrong. So that's one of the things we're going to fix. If you come in here, you have Democratic and you have Democratic Republican. Now, for the purpose of this exercise, we'll leave Democratic Republican as it is, since we don't have much information to tell us more about why that is in that way. So we'll leave Democratic Republican as it is. That way. What we're going to focus on fixing is on things like other expressions here that are not supposed to. We'll start with one, right? So let's deal with. So I'm going to unselect everything so I can come in here and take these Republicans. Now that filter only shows you what you have filtered out. Can you guys still hear me? There was an interruption to my network. Can you guys still hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So Republicans, right? I know it could be Republican. So I'll just go in here and edit it and take it off. Now somebody will ask me, what if we have multiple, say millions of them, right? In this way, how do we treat it, right? So say for instance, instead of Republican, maybe the one I want to treat is the Republican. I want to convert them to Republicans. All right. So in here, I have all of these guys, they're all Republicans. I'm not just going to come in here and start changing them one after the other. I can change one, right? And say, oh, this is Republican. And then I copy and I can replicate the same thing for every other entry. Now, a note of warning, a note of warning. Once you have applied a filter, what this is showing you here is that look at the left side of your screen here. You see them in blue, right? You see them in dark blue or so, right? Here. What is showing, and you will see that some row numbers are not showing. What that tells you is that there are hidden rows. Now, it is not all the rows that are displaying. So if I just come in here, select all of these guys, and paste, you're also going to be replacing the hidden rows as well. All right. So in order to avoid that, please write these keyboard shortcuts down because that is very important. In order to avoid that, please write this keyboard shortcut. The keyboard shortcut is Alt and semicolon. Alt semicolon. Let me put it on the chat. Right, Alt, and then you have your semicolon. Alt and semicolon, that's what I mean by Alt plus semicolon. So hold the Alt key and press semicolon key. What that does is it will ensure that your selection is only on the filtered items. So if I paste anything right now, it is not going to replace the hidden items as well. So I'm just going to right click and paste. So it has replaced everything now to Republicans. All right, just to show you that. But that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is just give me where you have Republicans. I will just change it to Republican. Now we have fixed that one. The next thing we want to fix is this guy here that is here. Now, of course, we know this could be keyboard error, entry error, data entry error, and all of this stuff that can lead to this kind of gibberish appearing in our data. All right. I can just go in here and clean it out since it is just one. If there are multiple of them, you can repeat the same step that I mentioned the last time. And now I can see my category here, and I think I'm pleased or satisfied with where it is at right now. So I can just clear filter, and we're back here. So our political party column is also ready for further analysis. Question? Any question? All right, I see the thumbs up. Then finally, we have one more column to treat, which is the column for president. So let's even start by editing the column name. I am going to add a new column. I just selected column, the column to the right click and clicked on insert. It will insert a new column to the left of your selection. So take note of that. I'm using this column, new column here, to clean this existing column. Coyote, what can you see? What can you observe from the president's column? What can you observe from the president's column that we need to fix? Is Coyote here? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Talk to us.
Yes, sir. The
Yes, sir.
letters.
Yes, sir. Letters. Yes, sir. Letters. Letters.
Okay, so there's this echo that I can hear from your background. I'm not sure why. All right.
Right. Right.
Okay, sir. I mean the letters.
The letters, of course. What about the letters?
What about the letters?
Uh,
What about the letters? What about the letters?
the number 2 is supposed to be John Adams, so the J is supposed to be capital letter, and also
Awesome.
the Adams,
Awesome.
which is the starting of the Adams, supposed to be cap.
Cap.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Coyote. Right. So what you're talking about is capitalization, right? Capitalization of that column. So of course, there are names of people. They should start with a capital letter, not small letter. So we're going to fix that. Emily, can you remember the Excel formula that can help us to fix this particular column? Can you remember?
I'm not sure. Is it substitute?
Substitute. No. Who can remember? Give us that. Anyone? Can anyone remember?
Proper.
Yeah, Maureen.
Proper.
Correct. Proper. So there's a formula, exact formula called proper. Before, just to give us a brief, there is upper, there is lower, and there is proper. All right, so let's not forget. Upper would change your entries to all capital letters. Lower will change your entries to all lower cases, that's small letters. And proper will change them to what is known as sentence case, which is the first letter of each word are going to be capitalized. All right, and that is what we want to use in this case. So we'll just simply say proper, and then we'll select this cell here, press enter, and when we do the same for others, it would have fixed all their names appropriately. Okay, so you can collect your data from different sources and all of that, and then you meet things like this. This is how you clean them up. And just like we said before, once you have applied a formula to a column, place, copy and paste as values so that whatever you do to the original column will not affect your new column. So now I can delete the empty column. Now our data is clean, all right, and is ready for further analysis. Now our data is clean. This is a typical example of a data cleaning process. So depending on how your data is formatted, how you met your data, right, that would, lead you to do one or two transformations, see where you can make some transformations and all that. So all the Excel formulas we talked about, they come into mind here at this point. All the Excel formulas we had mentioned, all right? There may be some points where you will need to split some text. Maybe you want to see the first name separate from the second name, all right? I know the last time we talked about splitting, not all of you had access to text split function or formula in Excel. And I said I was going to show you how you can do it without that in what is it called, for those who don't have it, right? So I'm just going to quickly do that here. Let's say I want to split this guy. I added 1, 2, 3 new columns. Okay. Maybe I think I will need 2 more. And I'll show you the reason why I need 2 more. I want to split these texts here. I want to split them based on their based on the white space in between them so that they become separate entities. So I go to data on the menu bar, I go to the data menu, and right here we have the data tools. Remember where we click on to have to clean duplicates. You see this one called text to columns, right? So you click on text to columns. Now text to columns brings up this. You will see 2 options, delimited or fixed width. For now, what we need is the delimited option. So we just click on next, and it's asking you what's the delimiter. That is, what character should I see to now split this text like that you are mentioning? And I'll
Hello,
say,
sir.
yes, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can get it, but it looks like your screen is still okay. I think your speech is faster than the display.
Okay. Okay, I see.
Yes.
So it's lagging. But can you see this dialog box that is up here?
Yeah, we can now see that. I can now see that now.
Okay. Okay, I'll try to slow down. I think there's a lag in the network. That's what it means. Thank you for bringing that up. All right. So let me go back. Let me cancel this. So first, you select the column that you want to split. On your menu bar, select data, select the data menu. Under the data tools, click on text to columns. Click on text to columns. All right. Now, there are two options that you will see, delimited and the fixed width, right? For now, we want to use delimited. Fixed width, we can talk about it much later when we want to use it. Delimited simply means once I want to split, my split criteria is based on a delimiter, which is usually a character, right? So maybe an asterisk, maybe a space, maybe a dash, whatever it is. So here, it's not asking you for the delimiter. Is it by default it will take tab and all of those stuff? But that's not what we want. We want to split by space. Already on the preview side, you'll be seeing how it would split your data if you apply it. So once it encounters a space, it's going to split it. That's what it is. Well, let's say, for instance, I want to use other characters. I can say order, and then I come in here and I say full stop. So whenever it encounters a full stop, and then when it encounters a space, so you can add multiple characters to it at the end of the day, but we're not interested in that. So we'll just say next. Here, just leave this format as general for now. When we do more exercises later, we're going to see how we can use some of these other tools in here. And then we'll just click on finish. So what you would see here is it has gone ahead to split that cell into multiple items, depending on the number of characters or the number of words that it contains that are separated by a space. All right. So for those who don't have text split, this is how you go about. This is how you go about here. Ordinarily, for those who have text split, I can just come in here and just do text split, and I'll select this and I'll say split it based on a space, and then I just click enter, and once I replicate all the way down, I have this. I'll get the same result. Any question? Is that taken? Is that taken?
Yes, sir, it's taken. But what I noticed about this other method is that it will split the original column. Unlike this text split, it retains the,
Which will retain it, yeah?
yes.
Yes. So your best bet will be what? Copy the column, duplicate the column before doing that,
Oh, okay. Although I
right?
have text split.
Okay, cool. So I just thought to mention, I think I just remembered that I said I'll show us how to do it for those who don't have the text split function. So I'll go ahead and take off this. All right, so your data is clean. Now you're ready to carry out any analysis you want to carry out. Okay, carry out any analysis you want to carry out. So let's say in here, you are a political, or you are an analyst in a political firm or in a political party, and then you are trying to build some kind of intelligence in here. Now I need us to wear our analyst cap and tell me just one insight that this data can produce. Just one insight. I will go around the room as I see your name on my screen. All right. I'll start with my TA, Maureen. Give us one insight that you can generate from this data.
From the political party, the category of the party that maybe probably produce the highest numbers of presidents.
Political parties that produce the highest number of presidents. That's one insight. Awesome. Emily.
The salaries earned by respective presidents.
How are you able to calculate that? These are their statutory salaries, maybe monthly, right? But are you able to calculate their salaries throughout their office tenure? Do you understand? What I'm trying to say is that kind of insight, I can say, okay, if I have an additional data that tells me how many years each of them spent in office, right? I can easily search for that and I'll get it. How many years each of them spent in office? Then I can tell you the total amount of salaries that was paid, and then I can tell you who was the highest. Remember our mean and max? So you can use mean and max to tell who was the highest paid president, who was the least paid president, and all of that. All right? Thank you, Emily Cloudy. Chop, chop, no time. Chop, chop.
Oh, so looking at the data, sir, we can say how many vice president has been produced by the Whig Party?
How many vice presidents have been produced by the Whig Party? All right. Or how many presidents have been produced by the Whig Party? I mean, the political party there is speaking to both the president and vice president. Right. Thank you very much. How many? You can say, okay, Democrats have produced this, da, 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 and all of that. That's fine. Gbemisola.
Okay. So I will actually look into like, okay, probably how has the salary increased over time, like from the first president to the last president.
Awesome. So you're looking at the growth rate of salaries for the
Yes,
president,
growth
right?
rate.
I mean, the
Yeah.
first president was earning 5,000. The last guy was earning 405,000, right? And that's
Yeah.
awesome. You can say over the years, salaries of presidents have increased by so and so percentage, from George Washington to Donald Trump. Stuff like that. Awesome stuff. Thank you. Hadassah. Now, I like the fact that you guys are wearing your analyst hats. Well done. All right, go on, Hadassah.
All right, looking at the political party, I could see that uh, from the president and the vice president aspect, some of them serve more than one term.
Mm,
So I can actually check for that.
so you can check to see which candidates served more than one term, or, of
Like
course,
looking at the vice president, like this John C. Calhoun served more
mm,
than one term under different, he
under
served
different
under,
presidents.
yes.
Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Finally, Ore, can you talk? Ore?
Ore has been having network issues.
Okay. Okay, I see. All right. I mean, but great stuff. All right. So you
You
guys are
can
ready?
hear me, hello?
Okay, Ore, go on.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, 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 please.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I don't think Ore can hear us. Ore, can you hear me?
Okay, I'll look at the vice president side who served more than one tenure. Yeah,
Okay.
hello? Hello, I can
Ye-
hear you.
Okay, okay. All
I
right.
said I
Ore
will look
is
at the vice president who served more than one tenure.
okay. Awesome. Awesome stuff. And I mean, that's the same thing that Hadassah just mentioned as well. So I think Ore's network is fluctuating. So she hears me much later, just like I also get to hear her later as well. But awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. So again, data cleaning is not beyond this. All right. I will state it here. It takes almost 80% of your analysis time, data cleaning. It takes almost 80% of your analysis time. It can be very boring. It's okay, Ore, I understand. It can be very boring sometimes. It can be very tiring and frustrating some other times, depending on the structure of data that you have to work with. All right, that you have to work with. But overall, this is the key to your success as an analyst, that you're able to prepare your data accordingly and appropriately for your analysis. Because if at this point there's an error, if at this point there are duplicates, imagine that there are duplicates, and then you want to report on the total, on the combined total salaries that have been paid to US presidents from the past to the present, and there are duplicates in your data, you know you're going to be producing wrong analysis, right? So you have to be very careful with all of this. If you need to write down those checklists, please write them down whenever you are doing. I'm telling you this because I made a huge mistake at work sometimes, right? And I reported, I did an analysis, and I did not check for duplicates in my data. And that was completely wrong, and I misled the business that month in my report. So please, if you have to write down this checklist somewhere, always have it handy, have it in your mind. The first thing you check for duplicates. Check for duplicates. That one is key. All right. Awesome. So go ahead and save your file. Go ahead and save your file. I mean, we can decide to come in here and then use pivot table to do stuff. Let's even do that. So we can do. Okay, please go on.
All right, I want to ask, how can we sharpen our insights?
Hmm.
What
So when
what
you
are
say
the things, what are things we should look into when we want to for this insight of a thing, so that we can be accurate?
okay. So to that, let me respond by saying this. It- your creativity, right, is not something that creativity is not something that is taught. Creativity is something that is sparked. Each and every one of us have that creative ability, right? So you're putting on a creative cap as an analyst to deeply look at something and think of what to do with this particular data. All right. If I give you flour, I'm sorry, not Ore. It was Hadassah that asked the question. Come on the mic. If I give you flour, what will come to your mind with that flour? What?
Okay.
Say again.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I said bread, cake,
Bread,
donut,
cake, donut, right?
meat pie,
Meat
egg
pie,
roll,
egg roll. What else?
buns, puff
Okay.
puff,
Right,
cookies.
right. Now, do you know that if you had no idea that you can use flour to make some of these stuff, they will never come to your mind in the first place,
So,
right? Did you mention biscuits?
yes, I mentioned cookies.
Cookies, right? Do you understand? If you had no idea that you can use flour to make this stuff, and I ask you, oh, what can you do with this? You can be looking at it like, I can give the same flour to somebody else, and their answers will be very different from yours. It is based on what they know this flour can do. Do you understand? So the more you interact with other people's work, the more it sparks your creativity as well. I don't know if you get what I mean. So it is not something that is taught, it is something that needs to be sparked. And how you spark it is by interacting with other people's work. So if you pick up somebody's analysis, for instance, and you're looking at it, it is giving you a huge advantage. Next time, when you pick up a document or a data, your mind automatically is wired to bring up the things that are already stored up inside of you. Do you understand? The things are already stored up inside of you. So you start wiring, oh, what can I do with this? What can I do with this? Your mind starts going around all the things you have interacted with. So interacting more with other people's work would help in this light. Secondly, or most recently, a lot of people now incorporate AI tools, right? There's scarcely anywhere you turn to that nobody's not talking about AI and stuff. I mean, it helps enhance our work. And some of the times, analysts also do that. So you pick up your data, right, and plug it into an AI tool and just tell it to generate insights from this data, possible insights for your analysis. And then it will go ahead and give you tons of suggestions that you can use. But let me warn you, and I can warn everybody on this call, please don't ever take your sensitive data and plug it on an AI tool. Don't go and take your company data and plug it in your, because everybody's using AI to simplify their work. For me that work in a financial institution, then I carry customer data that contains very sensitive information and I go and dump it out there. That's a public repository, completely unacceptable. I can stay within the AI tools that are within my organization. All right. If your organization subscribes to Microsoft, for instance, you have Microsoft Copilot. So Microsoft Copilot also comes with your subscription on what's it called? I mean, there's a free version for it and all that, but there's also the paid version that comes with your subscription, or you can add to your subscription your Office 365 subscription, right? In that way, the same way you are confident in housing or hosting your data on Microsoft Cloud, that's the same way you know that, okay, if I use this AI tool, there's not going to be any vulnerability that will come as a result of this. So be very careful when you use AI tools. That's what I'm just trying to say. But for our purpose here, when we are using all of these class examples and stuff, yes, you can use AI tools. Dump it on ChatGPT, even the free ChatGPT. It will give you tons of insight. Just tell him, generate 10 insights for my analysis. Act as a data analyst, and generate insights from this particular data. And it goes ahead to do it. For those who have the more advanced or paid version of ChatGPT and other tools and stuff, you can even dump your data cleaning tasks there and ask it to clean it. Just give it one or two prompts and it will produce a clean data for you that you can use for your analysis. But what would it be that you use all of those things at work and you don't double check, all right? You just assume that your prompt was right. It can misunderstand your prompt and produce something wrong. So you would always need to be the supervisor at the end of the day, okay? And you may not even have the privilege to use AI tools. Your boss is speaking with you right here and then, or you're in a meeting right there, and then you need to churn out something from your data. Then they see you going to ChatGPT. No, use your mind at that point. Do you understand? So it's your creativity that needs to spark, and you spark it by interacting with other people's work. Okay, I hope that helps.
Thank you very much, sir.
Sure, sure. Okay, so yeah, the next thing here, we want to do here, let's add pivot tables here so that we can just quickly create some charts. Our time is fast spent. We'll build a very simple dashboard here, and then I'll give you guys your first task to build your own ultimate dashboard that we're going to use for your portfolio project. All right. So here, my table is selected, and then I just click OK, as usual, like I had mentioned earlier. So let's see political parties, right, and the number of presidents they have produced. So in here, remember, look at this. You're showing me count of presidents. All right. Remember what we did from value field settings yesterday. Ordinarily, if you use it as sum, this is not going to work because we're not dealing with numbers here. We're dealing with letters. That is that is text. We're not dealing with numeric values here. So it counts. We're just trying to count the number of presidents that each of the parties have actually produced. And we can do this. Let's also filter it, or sort it in this way, right? So we know Republicans have produced 19, Democrats have produced 16, the Whigs 4, the combination of Democrat and Republican 4, non-partisan 1, Federalist 1, all right, giving a total of 45. What other insights did we talk about? We could, where's the data again? Right. So we could look out for how many times, all right, people have served as vice president. So we can carry vice president here. I can dump vice president here and also dump it here, right? And then we can sort based on highest to lowest, right? And I can even say, just give me only the top 10, right? So on that same place, you see value filters. I can just give me the top 10 count of vice president and I'm fine. So So it gives me only the top 10. What's that? Okay. Because I have a lot of ones in here. That is why that filter is not working. So it's not changing anything. Anyways, we have 9 times that the vice president office have been vacant. Twice that one candidate have served and different administrations as vice president, while the rest have served just once. Okay, these are those insights you were mentioning earlier. You see how we are extracting them now from the data. All right, see how we're extracting them now from the data. Bemisola, what was that insight you had shared?
I said the growth rate from the
The
first
growth rate,
president.
right, of their salaries. On that one, we may not even need a pivot table to. Of course, we don't need a pivot table to calculate that. But let's even do something here before we do that. Right. So we can see not political party here, president here, and their salary, right? And then we can see the top 5 in terms of salary, top 5 presidents in terms of salary, and then we can filter or sort them by descending order of their salaries. So in here, right? So the top 5 paid presidents in US history: Trump, Obama, George Washington, Bill Clinton, George Bush, right? George Bush Senior and George Bush Junior, and their total salaries was, 1.8 million or 1.9 million per month, right? The combined salaries. So in here, I'm going to just do this calculation. So let's see salary. What do we call that now? Or what do we call that? Should we call it salary growth rate or change in salary? Let us call it change in salary. Let's call it change in salary. So this is the maximum salary, and then this is the minimum salary. So we use the max and min formula, right? The max, then we come in here, select all of the salaries here. This we know is the maximum salary or the highest paid salary. The minimum salary will do the same here, and is this. So over the years, what is the difference? Percentage difference between the two. So we do this. Sorry, let's do some mathematics here. Is this minus this divided by this, which is a whopping 8,000%, right? From the first US president to the current US president, the salary increase have been 8,000%. What does that mean? It means 80 times, right? It means the salary from the first to the current president is about 80 times different. That is 80 times increment. Okay, that's one insight there. What other insights did we talk about? Guys, remind me. Remind me.
We talk
What did
about
I say?
the number of presidents under each parties.
None what?
Number of presidents under each party, like how many presidents has each party produced?
I think we've done that already. That's here. Here,
Okay, okay.
right? We've done that. So we can just simply do the total number of presidents, in the US history, right? Total number of presidents in US history. That's 45. What else can we do? Any other one? Whig Party. Right. So I'm gonna add an additional column, and I'll just put fictitious numbers there. Okay. Days in office. So let's say one find out how long they spent in office. So I'm just going to do 450, and then 450 days. Okay, let's say they each spent 450 days in office, right? So it means their total salary, should I do 450 days, or if they spent at least 4 years in office, how many weeks is in a year? 52 weeks. 52 multiplied by 4, that's 208, right? So about 208 weeks. So let's use 208 instead. No, months, 48
What is
months.
more?
Let's use months, yeah?
Mhm.
So let's say they all spent 48 months each, and we're paying them this salary per month. So it means that their total salary is going to be this multiplied by the total, days that they spent in office. And then this gives you
Hmm.
everything that has been paid or was paid to them. So we can come in here and do this and say the total amount paid. By the way, yeah. So my table, since we have selected the tables initially, it didn't select these new columns. So we're just going to modify it. So we'll just do change data source, right? So that it will add this new side. I'll show you where you get your change data source from, so that we can have this new column we have added in here. So you go to pivot table analyze, you see change data source, you click on change data source, then you can reselect your table. Okay. Then when you come back to your pivot table, you go to the same pivot table analyze, and then you do refresh. Right? Once you refresh, you'll be able to see your new columns that you have added if you didn't see them before. All right. So we can say the total salary. Okay, spelling of salary is bad. Let's correct. Total salary paid to them. So when I come in here, pivot table analyze, refresh, then I fix that. Total salary paid to your US president for their time in office was $248,720,000 for all of these 45 presidents, assuming they all served, for 4 years each, which is 48 months in each year throughout their tenure. We're making that assumption. All right. So now this is enough for us to, just build a very simple dashboard. All right. I'm just going to reduce this. This is too long. Let me just do the top. Right. I'll just take the top two here. Right. Let me go to that. So we can build a dashboard. I'll create a new sheet for my dashboard. Please pay very careful attention, because you're going to use these steps to create your own dashboard using that bike sales data that we used yesterday for our pivot table lesson. Okay, please take note of that. Now, the first thing I want to do is, before you start building, just like if I'm trying to build a physical structure, all right, if I'm trying to build a physical structure, I think I should now share my board. I should share my board right now, so I'll show you what I mean. To build a dashboard, don't just, sometimes you can get away with it, but don't just randomly start. Create like a mock-up or a blueprint of what you want to build. It is easier when you start building the dashboard. All right, so sketch something, whether your notepad or something, just sketch something. So the first thing I want to see here is I want to see the title, data analysis of past US presidents. All right, of past US presidents. That's the first thing I want to see. So it will be like a title in the middle of my dashboard. All right. Who is that? Who is tired? Is that Maureen? Okay. Then the next thing I want to see is a picture of let me download the US flag. Since I'm dealing with US president, let me get the US flag. So I'm downloading an image. So I mean, once you find anyone you want to download, just go ahead and download them and save them somewhere that you can recall or easily reference. I know it's in my downloads folder. I'll leave it there for now. So I want to have an image of America, the flag. So I'll paste it somewhere here. Let's resize it. All right. The next thing I want to do is I want to have a text box that will display total US presidents in history. Total US presidents in history. Maybe I can use the size here. And then there will be a box here that gives me that number. There will be a box here that gives me that number. I know there are 45 of them. Okay. I know there are 45 of them.
Maximum, minimum salary.
Yeah. So let's call it highest paid president. Or top 5 paid presidents. Top 5 paid presidents. Top 5 salaries of presidents. Right? And then there was going to be a box here that also displays all of those names in here. What else? We want to see the salary growth rate from the first to the last. Where should I have that? I think I can have that here. So I can bring it somewhere here. I can say salary growth since inception. And I know that value is 80x, or you can call it your 88,000%. That's 80x. Then in here, we want to see presidents produced by each political party presidents produced by each political party. Then we'll have this canvas here that shows us the political party and the number of presidents that they have produced. What else? Vice president positions. So we have vice president positions or vice president with more than one M. Let me just use that header. It may not be the best header since I know it's just two. I'll reduce this. What else? You can look for other insights to add to what we already have. But for now, I'll make do with this. So for now, I'll make do with this. And then I'll add the final insight here. And the final insight here, total salaries paid to past US presidents. All right, I'm gonna fix that. And then we'll just fix the amount here. Okay, so now I have a view of what my dashboard should look like. All right, then I can start building my dashboard. Don't jump straight to start building a dashboard when you don't have a layered structure like this. So this is what we're going to replicate. This makes your work easier, right? And then you just go straight and build your dashboard. So let me get back to sharing my Excel file. Right, so this is the new file that we've created. I'll just call it dashboard. I'll call it dashboard. The first thing I want to do is I want to take off these grids that are in here, all these grid lines here. I'm not interested in them. They don't look great for dashboard. So I go to view on the menu bar, and you will see grid lines. Yeah, just uncheck it. Once you do that, grid lines are gone. That's the first thing. The next thing is you want to have your header somewhere here. Right, this looks like the middle of your page, just from your default screen. This looks like the middle of your page. So I'm going to, on Home tab, I'm just going to merge them. All right, under alignment, you will see this one here, merge and center cells. So I will just paste that title I had earlier. Then I can format this. Now I want it to be in the center. I can increase the font size. I can make it bold. If I like, I can change the background, whatever, right? I can change the background to whatever I want, but I'm okay with it. I can also give it a border. I can change the border color to be something dark blue and just give it all outside borders. Now I have this data analysis of past year's president. I have the flag on the right side, so I'm just going to get that flag right now. So I have under insert, you will find image. Where's my image? My images. Yes. Okay. It's under my illustrations here, and then I see pictures. I can choose two options. Place in cell, that is, you want the picture to be inside the cell that you have selected, or over cells. What I want is over cells. So it doesn't, it's not constrained by the size of the cell that I've selected. I know my image is my image is here in my downloads folder, and then I bring it in. I can go ahead and resize it just the way we have done before now, right? You can size yours to whatever you want, however you want to. Some of you may be better designers than myself. That's great, right? However you want to do it. So what is the other thing? Then we want to talk about total US president in history, top 5 salaries of US presidents and stuff. So here I have this text box here. Let me just pick them here. So total US president in history. You can make it bold, format them anyhow you want, right? You can also even merge that so that they become one cell, so that you can add maybe a border line around it, right? So in here, I can also merge all of these guys here. And I know our count here. Okay. Anyways, I can just pick the value here. I can say equal to what I have here. All right. And then this is 45. So you can go ahead and modify it. All right. You can go ahead and modify it. If you want to change text color, you can go ahead and change text color and stuff. The next thing is top 5 salaries of US presidents. All right. So I can copy this format. Look at this format painter here and paste it here so that it will have the same formatting of that cell. And right here, I can, since I'm doing top 5, I mean, it's this 5, all right? I can format these guys in this way. No. I can merge here first, then do this. Okay. Then now I can actually give it an all border. So top 5 salaries of US presidents. Then I will just say equal to here. I have this guy here and equal to I have this guy here, the salaries. All right. So I can format this to have that dollar sign. And then I will just replicate. I copied and I'm pasting formula this time around. Why am I having the same values? National values. Okay. Anyways, so we can just get this. There's Bill Clinton, and just do this. All right. Top 5 salaries, past year's presidents. Okay. Right. So what's next on our table? Presidents produced by each political party. So we have this guy's here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can actually take this table and paste them here and change this label. I can expand this. Right. Boom, 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 large political party. So this is party name. This
So
is party name. Say again.
are you holding any key to keep the what you used to copy the formula from the other cell?
Oh, the format. You're talking about the format I just copied.
Uh,
No, so when you
like
double click on it, you can paste it multiple times. If you click on it once, this is what you mean, yeah? This page format here. Yeah.
yes,
So this page
yes.
format, if I do this, I just clicked on it once, so it only replicates one time. But if I want to do it multiple times, I'll double click it, right? So
Oh,
I'll keep everywhere I use it until I'm done. Once I'm done, I just press escape key on my keyboard. All right,
okay. Yeah,
right.
thank you.
So this is the party. This is the number of presidents produced. And here, I'll just go back and reference this guy here. So here I copied this and I am pasting formula. So it will give me all the political parties there. But in here, I can't do that. So I have to do it one at a time. So this is a number. I'll change the format and have them all down here. So this equal to this equal to this equal to equal to equal to. And I mean, I'm representing these things in tables or with tables. You can choose to use charts instead. All right. I mean, I'm using tables here. You can have this as a what? You can have this as a column chart, a clustered column chart. All right, nothing stops you from doing that. So don't say because I'm using tables, you have to use tables. All right, as a matter of fact, this is what I mean. So in here, I can come in here and just, get insert a pivot chart here, and boom, you already have this guy. I can go ahead and format this chart in the way I want it. I don't need you guys here. I don't need these few buttons. Okay. And then I'm just going to add data labels here, and they will all display here. All right. You can even choose to change the colors of each of them. Okay. So once you select the bars, the first time you select the bars, all the bars are selected. So any color you put there is going to change all of them. Okay. But if I want to change a particular one, then I click on the particular bar. This color is now going to only affect this bar. So let's say I put red I have red for the Republicans. I have this blue for the Democrats. Maybe I have a green for these guys. Maybe I have an amber. Okay, let's say, yeah, let's say darker green for this. The non-partisan, maybe we'll give it a black. The Federalists, let's say let's give the Federalists a yellow, you know. So I rename this guy here, and we called it what? Presidents produced by each political party. All right, number of presidents produced by each political party. Let me reduce the font size. All right, so instead of having this, I can choose to bring my chart here instead. How many of you prefer the charts to the team?
Me.
Who else? All right. I can have this instead of those tables. I can also do a chart as well for the salaries. You can do charts, you can do whatever you want to do. Now, here, this is by default. I'm already on column R. That's my last column that is visible by default. So for my dashboard, I select column S, hold Shift and Control key, and I press my right arrow key to select the entire column to the right. I said select column S, press Shift and Control key, press your right arrow key to select all these columns. What we want to do is hide them. Okay, so hide. They are now hidden. And then down here, we also don't need every other thing outside of row 21, right? So I'm going to select row 22, Shift Control, down arrow key, all the way to the very end, and then I will just say hide. So that the only visible areas here is just going to be the only visible areas is just going to be what's going on? The only visible areas will just be for my dashboard. Okay, so if you try to scroll this way, you won't see nothing else. So I just stay within my dashboard. Okay, I'm going to pause at this point. Ask me any question you have. I'm wrapping up here. I wanted to finish up your capstone project for this week. All right. You're going to build your own Excel dashboard using the bike sales data that we have already, the one we used yesterday. All right. So ask me questions now. Emily, are you good?
Sorry, which data did you say we are going to use?
The bike sales data, the one we used yesterday
Okay.
for our pivot table lesson. Yes. All right. Do you have a question?
None for now, sir.
Oh, awesome. Bemisola, are you good? Bemisola, are you good?
Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. You know you covered the charts. There was a table on
The
that.
table, yeah?
Yeah.
This one.
Can't the table be removed? Like
Of
instead of
course.
using
I mean, we are the one that put it now, so we can remove it.
okay.
I can delete it, and I say just shift cells to the left, and it's gone. All right. So let me. All right. So I just did some undo to get to that point. Of course, you can take it off. So you can use charts instead of tables if you choose to. If you want to use table to represent yours, whatever you think will make a better visual appeal to your stakeholders, please feel free. All right, to do that. I want to see very good dashboards that you guys can be proud of as well. Post your work on LinkedIn, your very first Excel dashboard. All right. Bemitola, I was asking, are we good? Okay, you want to record it. Okay, that's fine. I'll share the link as soon as possible. Who else? Hadassah, are you good?
No question, sir.
Okay, cool. Kayode, are you good?
I will catch up with the recording, sir.
Okay, I hope so. Please catch up with recordings and stuff. There are other parts to this, like adding filters and all of that. If you run into one of the things I don't appreciate is when you don't even try. Okay, so try. Let it be that, oh, you tried to do this and you didn't get it. All right, then ask for help. And there are a lot of help tools out there. Your AI tools are there. A simple Google search would solve you or save you a lot of time. All right, try to solve the problem. So please take note of all of these tips that I'm offering. All right, and then you can also feel free to reach out to me, okay, and ask your questions, or reach out to Maureen to book a time with me so we can have a session. But I don't want us to come back by next week, and I have not seen any of your dashboards. That one should not happen. I beg each and every one of you. I need you guys to be done with your dashboards before we meet my next class, which is next Saturday. All right. There are filters you can add to this to make your dashboard more dynamic and stuff. I'll leave that to you to find out how to add that. If you want to, if you have questions around it, please let me know. All right, I'm going to stop recording now so that our recording can start processing. And once it's done processing,